A completely unneeded kitbash? From me? Nah, that can't be right. There's nothing wrong with the Maggotcrown Ogre Juggernaut miniature from Reaper. It's actually really awesome. But I wanted to put my own personal touch on this one. Actually, 2 of these, you know, for fun. Remember fun? I remember. If there's any mold makers out there, this packaging might be something to hold on to. Something to think about. So when I cracked this guy out of the packaging, I was kind of surprised that he was already fully assembled and like actually glued together. That's not coming apart. The first one of these that I got must have come directly from the Kickstarter because it was unassembled, which made kit bashing it a lot easier. The color of the plastic is even lighter, which is kind of weird, but whatever. You can see the work that I've already done on the first one with the head swap, and then making the armor over the head actually look like it's in scale with the head instead of just kind of plopped on there. And since the skull from the first model was a separate piece, I added it to this altar that I made, which looks more in scale than the GW skull that I glued on the left hand side there, you can see. And the replacement skull is from the Bone Sylvanian's cow model, also from Reaper, which is like a chibi character. And of course I'm still going to use the leftover skeleton. So I take a skull from this Puppets War sprue that I bought, leaving part of the sprue attached so it's easier to stick into a hole that I drill into the neck region of the skeleton. We'll probably see this guy later in the video. On the fully assembled armored skeleton, I very sloppily remove the head and then have to clean up all the melted stringy bits of the plastic. I'll use that skull for something somewhere along the line probably, so that goes in the bits box. And the new head is a horned skull that came from a sprue lot that I actually unboxed in an earlier video on this channel. I couldn't get the dangly ornamental parts on the horns to look like they weren't defying gravity, so I snipped those off. And while I'm at it, I might as well remove the base very sloppily. I'd rather have this on a circular base as opposed to the oval one anyways. I messed around with the idea of maybe making the club shorter, like a hammer looking thing, but just went ahead and removed that. I did my best to subtractively sculpt fingers where I cut away the club, but decided to cut the hand at the wrist to rotate it in to kind of hide those crimes. I dig back into that sprue lot for a weapon, cutting the blade and the handle away from the hand, and do my best to drill into the blade without completely destroying it so that I can pin it into the hand. Just drill a hole in the hand and paper clip it. Then I realize I'm not satisfied with the placement of the club on the first model. I don't like how it hangs over the base, so I cut the arm at the elbow, making sure to cut between the pieces of armor. And then I just drill into both sides and use a paper clip to pin it and super glue to glue it. I also cut and shaved down the coffin insignia on his breastplate, trying to get as much mileage out of this sprue lot as I can. So I take this ornamental skull on a chain and glue that on there. I found another skull on a chain. So as to not make the second guy feel left out, I cut out one strand of chainmail and then just glue that in there. That could be some sort of an ornament of war, or it could be his homie he's just carrying around still. And then I slap him onto a circular base. There's a little bit of gap filling with green stuff, basically just filling where I cut the arms to repose them. I also added a larger guard to his sword. I stuck some green stuff to it, and then once it cured, cut it down to a rough rectangular shape. Nothing too complicated. On the other guy, I did my best to make chainmail on the back of the arm. It's okay. Now, I actually thought I'd paint these guys up, see what they look like done. Instead of just making them straight silver, like I would probably normally do, I varied up the color of the metals, which also helps differentiate one from the other, I think. And I also based and painted up the halfling skeleton, so he can roll with his big friends, who aren't fat, they're just big bone. I've been using that excuse since 3rd grade. And this is a part of the video where I tell you to like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff, but you won't. So I guess I'll see you later. Peace.